See, up to this point, we have agreed on how we raise our son. But in this situation, she's trying to protect him from the world. I'm trying to prepare him for the world. If he cannot handle me raising my voice to get his attention, to see the bigger picture, he's not ready for a world that doesn't care about his feelings. So I say, you know what? I gotta have a one-on-one with him. I gotta have a one-on-one without... So I take him out to the movies. We get in the car, we take off. Little 20-minute drive, okay? As we're driving, I figure I'll have a little one-on-one with him. Maybe this way it doesn't feel like a talk. I thought he understood what I was trying to say. It's late, we're leaving the movies, we're pulling out of the parking structure, and out of the corner of my eye, I see a cop car. And I made a sound, I was like, ugh. And Frankie goes, what is it, Dad? I said, there's a cop at the light. What are you worried about? He's gonna stop us. How do you know? Watch. I made that left turn. Frankie's losing it. It's happening! I said, relax. I pull over. Cop pulls up from behind. Immediately. Driver, windows down. Oh. Driver, hands out the window.
Serious?
Both of them. I can't, I'm fat! He gets to the window and he's got the flashlight and he shines the light right in my face. He's like, license? Yeah. Here. He takes the license and then of course, do you know why I stopped you? Officer, no I don't, but I'm sure you're about to tell me. You don't have a front plate on your car. I said, officer, you're absolutely right. I do not have a front plate on my car, but my name is actually on the front of the car. Excuse me, my name is on the front of the car. I own a 2012 Ford Flex, and the Ford Flex has the actual word flex written on the hood. I have a friend who does custom automotive work, and he took all the letters off the car except for the letter F, and he made letters so that it spells fluffy on the hood. Okay? Yeah, it sounds impressive. You can do it too for like $23. It's not that bad. They're like refrigerator magnets. You can even move them. Like one day a letter flew off and it said foofy. Look at me, que pendejo. I know, stupid, right? So the officer walks around to the front of the car and he takes his flashlight and he shines the light right on the hood. And he does this, he goes, I knew it! And my son goes, what does that mean? I said, that means we get to go. Oh, Houston, for the first time in a long time, my son was actually impressed by something that I did. You gotta figure, this is not impressive to my son because he grew up in this environment, okay? You saw that, right? I saw like a... That's like the third one I've seen. It's like stuff keeps... People upstairs from Tombow. Keep talking. All right, I'll tell you guys what happened. Shakira performed here a few days ago, and Shakira has an amazing show, okay? She doesn't just come out and I think I just hurt myself. But there's a part of her show where all of a sudden it goes, and there's cannons with confetti that shoot everywhere, right? And I think that was leftover Shakira. Yeah. Can we edit out the part where I burned 800 calories? Oh my God. So where was I? Oh, this does nothing for my son. And the reason why I say that is because he grew up in this environment. He's been to 1,000 shows. He's seen me on TV 1,000,000 times. It's not a big deal. But the fact that I got stopped by a cop and the cop recognized me and geeked out and let us go, I earned street cred with my kid. Yeah, Frankie was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, hell yeah, cuz, that's right. You better recognize, player. We get home, he woke up his mom. Mom, you should have seen it. We got stopped by the cops. Are you okay? Yeah, they recognized Dad and they let us go. And she stayed quiet. And I told her, huh? Now, the problem with sharing a story like that is that people have questioned the credibility of that story. They say, how is it possible you could remember a story like that with such detail after drinking so many shots? And honestly, I don't. But we recorded the show. So I know the story very well, you know. She'll take off whatever you take off. She'll take off whatever you take off. She'll take off whatever you take. I know it very well. The question that I've always gotten over the years is, you know, are your stories real? You know, we hear these crazy stories, whether it's about me and Snoop Dogg or Martin or all these different adventures or my son Frankie. People have always questioned whether or not the stories are like legit. And so in my last special, I addressed it. I was tired of people asking if my stories were real, so to prove a point, at the end of my last special that I did, I included a photo of every single one of the stories that I talked about so that people would know the stories are real. And tonight, is no exception. So, did I really get naked on stage? Ryan, hit the button. I'm f***ing with you. Oh my God, you guys thought you were gonna see 3D. I'm sorry, I did that for me. I did that for me. Oh my God. You guys were getting stressed. You're like, ah, cabrón, hide los niños. Bueno. Oh my God. The number one question I've gotten when it comes to my shows is, what is your writing process? My writing process is simple. I do not sit and write out jokes. I am really bad at that. Ask the Oscars. I experience things and then I come out on stage and I share them, and sometimes people laugh, and if they laugh, that's cool, I keep that, and whatever doesn't get a laugh, I work on until it gets, you know, ah-ha-ha. 15 plus years ago, my friend Ivan, who is he's my number one longest, oldest employee. Not old like he's like, hello, how are you? He's been around a long time. He's been there from day one. Ivan's original job was to record my shows using a camcorder. Now, the fact that I'm saying camcorder should be an indication of the timeline. Because I know some of you right now are like, what's a camcorder? Yeah, so it was the Snapchat of our day. So Ivan would record the shows and then put away the camcorder and the tripod and a bunch of tapes into a bag. It was very bulky. It wasn't a phone, it was bulky. And then we'd go back to the hotel, and then he'd break the little guard off the back of the TV, and then, you know, he'd hook it up and we'd watch the thing. And that's how I would review my material. One night, we go to dinner. Ivan packed up the bag. We met in the hotel lobby. And Ivan forgot the camera bag in the hotel lobby. And we went to dinner. And when we came back, it was gone. And we never recovered the tape. And I know some of you are like, how convenient. The tape of him getting naked is gone. And to you I say, why would I even make up such a story that could potentially hurt my credibility or my image? I don't need 5 minutes of ha-ha. What I need is there to not be a tape. I know that there's footage out there of me doing something really, really embarrassing and something I wish I could take back. And I know that when this Netflix special airs, a lot of people are going to see it. And hopefully the person who has the footage is watching. And I would like to tell that person right now, why would you want to do it in Phoenix, Arizona? You know, especially with everything that's going on, why would you take a chance? Let me tell you why. The guys in the back, show the picture. Now notice you don't see a white bus driver in the picture. It's because he took the picture. Apparently, even after talking smack to immigration, he was still considered an innocent bystander. You guys, can you show the next one? That's Sanchez. Traitor! Show the next one. There's the dog. And there's where we threw it. I go for evil, man. I won't lie. If I don't have my... Yeah, man. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, I know I have a habit in my shows of sometimes throwing a little Spanish in there. If you don't understand Spanish, I do apologize, okay? I promise I will be translating. I don't want anybody freaking out or reporting me to the management with concerns or issues, you know.
What the hell is going on in there? What kind of show is this? No, somebody better hit the SAP button on that some real quick. I didn't pay good money to hear some Samoan speak Spanish.
I'm not Samoan, I'm fluffy. I didn't know why the guy thought I was Samoan, you know? And I've had this happen a couple times where people go, are you Hawaiian? I'm like, no. No, not just a shirt. I thought it was just a shirt, but no, how could it just be a shirt? Just because you wear a freaking sombrero, that doesn't make you Mexican. I see white people Cinco de Mayo wearing a sarape, walking a donkey with a sombrero. You don't look at him and go, hola, amigo. No, you're like, hey, Ted. Hi. You know, and he's walking around, hola, come on, stupid donkey, come on. I don't get it, man. I'm just trying to do my thing, but it's funny though. I didn't know why the guy thought I was Hawaiian until I actually went to Hawaii. I found out that Hawaiian people actually look like swollen Mexicans. They do. I got off the plane, I looked around, I was like, oh my God, my family. Even they were like, aloha brother, lo que le, malo malo. Orale. I loved Hawaii. Hawaii was great, man. They have a lot of different cultures there. They have a lot of Asian people. A lot of Koreans. I know this because I got a couple of shirts tailored at some places, and every time I'd go in, it was always a Korean lady. An older Korean lady who was mean. I'd walk in, and this one lady always had a comment to make. I'm there for a week, and every day she had a different comment. I walk in one day, and I couldn't say anything either because she was 75 years old. I can't say nothing back, you know, but there I am walking in. The lady behind the counter, oh, look at who's here. Look at who's here. Oh, we're gonna work hard today. Hell yeah, man. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, I know I have a habit in my shows of sometimes throwing a little Spanish in there. If you don't understand Spanish, I do apologize, okay? I promise I will be translating. I don't want anybody freaking out or reporting me to the management with concerns or issues. Look at who's here. And Speedy. Now, Pepe, I understand. He's a little touchy. You know, but he disguises it with the mosheri, mosheri, man. But Speedy Gonzalez, what's his crime? He's Mexican and he's fast. That is not a crime. In Montebello, that's called job security. So I said, I cannot let them hurt Speedy. You know, I can't let them cancel him. So I came to his defense. Plus, it was my only job. I went to the only place I felt I could go to protect him. I went on Twitter. And Twitter, ooh, Twitter's a scary place. It is. You only go there to fight, to get into it, to prove a point. And so a friend of mine said, if you want to get some attention, use a hashtag. And so I did. And I wrote a tweet that said, hey, hashtag cancel culture. My name is Gabriel Iglesias, and I'm the new voice of Speedy Gonzalez. You cannot cancel or catch me. And I posted it. I had no idea that when you go on Twitter looking for problems, you will find them. Oh yeah, every major news outlet picked up my tweet and used it in a story about cancel culture. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN. If I would have known that, I would have used spell check. Because my family called. Eres pendejo, qué chingados, ¿qué te pasa? No escribe bien. Oh my God. Even Fox News did a story with my tweet. Fox News. You know how I know? My bus driver Dave called me. Oh, he was thrilled. He was like, Fluffy, God damn it, I've never been prouder. You made it, baby. You're on Fox News. I said, Dave, shut up. You're stupid. He's like, America. Even Warner Brothers Pictures reached out to say thank you. And before I know it, I was on a Zoom call. And I know a lot of us had to get used to Zoom. And it's kind of convenient, right? All they see is this. So to entertain myself, every time I took a Zoom call, I was full Winnie the Pooh. And if you're not laughing right now, you better ask someone who is, because there is no coming back from full Winnie the Pooh. I was leaving baby powder all over the house. It looked like an episode of Narcos. So I get on this Zoom call with the director, writer, and producer of Space Jam. And they're being super nice, super supportive, super cool. They're like, Gabriel, thank you so much for lending your voice talents to our film. We really, really appreciate you being part of this. If you have any questions or concerns, let us know. So, well, thank you. We have a question for you. I said, okay. How do you feel about the voice of Speedy Gonzalez? I said, well, what do you mean? Well, you know, some people find him to be a little stereotypical. What are your thoughts? I said, well, you have not met my family. I cannot speak for all brown people, but I can tell you that me personally, in my house growing up, Speedy Gonzalez was not viewed in a negative way. As a matter of fact, he was the only form of representation we had growing up. It was him and the little bumblebee on The Simpsons. Gabriel, we were thinking that perhaps you would like to lend your real speaking voice to the character, maybe modernize him a little, you know, bring him up to speed. I said, well, you know, with all due respect, I appreciate the fact that you would give me the power to change the sound of such an iconic character. But at the end of the day, when people see the movie, I don't want them to think of me. I want them to think of Speedy Gonzalez. So I said, please keep his voice original. And then he asked the question, well, do you think you can do the voice? How did I get the part? Now remember, I never auditioned for Speedy Gonzalez. They just called me, and I assumed that they knew that I did voices for a living and that I could pull this off. So I says, what made you choose me if you didn't know whether or not I could do the... Oh. You needed a big brown shield in case shit happened, huh? And then all three people on the phone call were like... I said, well, don't worry, because with me, you get a twofer. You get an actual Mexican, and you get someone that can nail the voice. So, oh yeah. That's right. So before I know it, this sound person, the guy who does recordings over at Warner Brothers, gets on the call. The only thing I know about this guy is that he's loud. Okay, he gets on the call, he's like, Gabriel Iglesias, how are you? Wow. How's it going? My name is Steven. I'm the sound coordinator here at Warner Brothers Pictures. So listen, buddy, here's what's going to happen. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit record. And as soon as I hit record, I just need for you to start talking like Speedy Gonzalez. We're going to get the flow, the tempo, the timing. And as soon as we got it dialed in, we're going to make a movie. Sound good? Sounds good.
All right, this is Gabriel Iglesias for Space Jam: A New Legacy. Speedy Gonzalez, take one. Gabriel, mic check, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Martin and I just got back from India. Yeah. So let me tell you, I started posting on Facebook and Twitter that we were going to go out there to do these shows. And then people started sending me messages questioning what I was going to do. First of all, are they going to understand you in India? Will they understand English okay? Will they be able to follow along with your stories? Once we got there, I come to find out that more people speak English in India than in all of the US and Canada put together. Might as well throw Mexico in there for extra credit. Because there's that many people, and yes, they have the internet. They got the internet, they got Bollywood, they got Hollywood. They understand American culture so much more than we understand theirs. Second thing, people tried to warn me about going over there. Gabriel, be careful. India is a third world country. Don't drink the water in India. It contains parasites that'll make you really sick. Don't eat the food from the street people, especially the street meat. It contains a parasite that'll make you really sick. And most importantly, there's a lot of crime over there. Don't stay out late. When the sun goes down, you go down. I'm like, is it that bad? Parasites. So I'm like, let me get this straight. There's a lot of crime. Don't stay out late. Don't eat any of the food from the street vendors. And don't drink the water. Why does that sound familiar? That's Mexico. When Martin and I got over there, we found out that Indian people and Mexican people have so much in common, you guys. I'm telling you, it's insane how similar we are, especially the food. The food is so similar. For example, Mexicans love tortillas. Indian people love naan bread, which is a fluffier form of a tortilla. Mexicans love chicken. Indians love chicken. Mexicans love hot and spicy. Indians invented hot and spicy. Most popular drink in Mexico is Fanta. Most popular drink in India is Fanta. Indian people worship cows. Mexicans love barbecues. A lot of similarities. Most of the people that I met over there were very hardworking and humble. And I gotta tell you, every time I talked to someone, I was always greeted the same way. They'd look at me, they'd put their hands together, they'd do a little bow, and they say, Namaste,